So you were saying what you want is good, and anything that prevents you from getting what you want is bad.
Yeah, this is a psychopath views it. And if you look at money or monetary stuff, or any other kind of stuff, it's the same way. You have what I want, and if you don't give it to me, you're bad, but what I want is good. So give it to me. So if I need to swindle you out of it, if I need to game you, if I need to shoot you, if I need to blackmail you, extortion, whatever I need to do to get what you have that I want, well, I'll do it because getting that is good, I'm good, you're bad. And that applies to, I think, the banksters. Now, the banksters, all have CEOs and they're all psychopathic organizations. So, of course, they're going to act in a psychopathic manner. And oddly enough, there's a recent movie out about psychopathic bankers. It explains it better than I can. Let's play that tape.
But really, we all know there's something a little off about Wall Street. Given recent behavior, even the Financial Times wonders, surely only someone with a serious personality disorder could have thought it was a good idea to sell a highly risky financial instrument like a CDO squared to a naive investor who clearly did not understand the risks, or would react with anger when told that they would not be paid multi-million-pound bonuses because their previous bets had gone so badly wrong that their employer had to be bailed out by the taxpayer. And we also have the Patrick Bateman-esque headlines. Did you hear about the banker who was screaming racial slurs at strangers and got knocked out on the street? Or maybe the bankers who had cocaine-fueled meltdowns? Or how about the banker who stabbed a cabbie? So what's behind this? Dr. Alexandra Michel studied a group of bankers for more than a decade. What she described was a factory on Wall Street that grinds people up and tosses them out, deranged.
What I found is that after approximately 4 years, the picture changes. Performance declines, not on technical skills. The bankers are still superb as far as technical knowledge, but creativity declines, judgment declines, ethical sensitivity declines at about year 4 because, not surprisingly, the body breaks down.
It's believed 1% of the general population is psychopathic. So can we say Wall Street actually has a higher percentage? Dr. Michel wasn't willing to go that far.
I would say for now there is no evidence to support that kind of claim.
Fair enough, but I also had to talk to some former Wall Street insiders, people you may refer to as recovering psychopaths. Alexis Goldstein spent 7 years on Wall Street. She describes the culture.
It's a complete lack of empathy, and it's really all about being as juvenile as you can be and having enough money and enough power so that you can basically behave however you want and treat people however you want. The proper term for it is FU money.
Richard Eskow worked at AIG.
There were times in my own work life where I had to stay awake for 72 hours to get a project done. So a colleague or two or three of us would get together and we'd stay up for 3 nights and we'd be drinking and we'd be using substances to keep going. So we got pretty crazy, but we did it because we were being encouraged to do it by the situation. So were we psychopaths? I don't think so. I think we were people under enormous pressure.
We're not through yet. It had always seemed that Wall Street was the place where the psychopathic among us could not only take refuge, but flourish. But it appears more complicated than that.
So I think it all speaks to breeding a group of people that are very predatory in the way they pursue money, and yet psychopathic is one word that could be used. And I think the more that happens, the more that culture starts to attract people who have those personality characteristics to begin with. So I think it's all of the above. It's nature, it's nurture.
Whatever the reason for the perceived psychopathy emanating from our nation's financial district, this should concern us all. It's the FIRE economy, finance, insurance, and real estate that is making up a larger and larger portion of our total economy. And understanding who's running this industry might explain why Wall Street has been preying on the rest of our economy, from homeowners to oil consumers to, most recently, aluminum purchasers. But in the end, what can we do about it? Sure, we can pass more regulations. We can pass legislation like Glass-Steagall to try and limit the damage that Wall Street bankers can do. But really, how do you legislate away psychopaths?
We have to stop lionizing people like, for example, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. I think we have to make it culturally shameful to exhibit psychopathic behavior.
We're not going to be able to legislate our way around this, but we can have a culture shift. And I think the one thing that Wall Street is vulnerable is shame. Wall Street is vulnerable to shame. Occupy proved that.
So, in a way, the Occupy movement was just trying to hold an intervention for the bankers. Unfortunately, Wall Street and its friends weren't ready to listen. And they likely won't be ready to listen anytime soon, as long as all that FU money keeps flowing in. In Washington, observing Wall Street from a very safe distance, Sam Sachs, RT.
Thanks to RT for that tape, and we're presenting it simply for educational purposes. So now you can see why J.C. Pritchard in 1835, when he started looking at these deviates, called them the morally insane.
Yeah.
They're just so wired so different. All right, so moving along to number 7. Psychopaths are compulsive liars. It's easy. It's natural as breathing. Remember, they don't have any remorse. So whatever they say in the moment is what they say in the moment. And since psychopaths are always parasites, getting what they can get from the efforts of everybody else, they must lie to maintain their position in society.
I will close Guantanamo. I will restore habeas corpus.
Guantanamo, that's easy. Close down Guantanamo, restore habeas corpus.
We're going to lead by shutting down Guantanamo and restoring habeas corpus.
I intend to close Guantanamo, and I will follow through on that. Guantanamo will be closed.
That flag represents rule of law and due process, and that's why we're going to close Guantanamo and restore habeas corpus.
Well, thank you for that demonstration from a very talented liar and psychopath. You can hear how easy it is. It sounds like he's really thinks that he's telling the truth. They're amazing liars. And that leads into the next hallmark of the psychopath, and that's being manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
They're masters of manipulating. Since they've been watching the human species kind of as an objective observer,
Rather than participating.
Uh-huh. I think they could see us more clearly than we can in certain regards, and use that to put us where they want to put us.
Wow, that's fascinating. Good point.
Yes, I was watching Star Trek the other night, and the psychopath is wired like a Vulcan, like Spock. Totally objective, totally. Maybe that's why that was put in that series to emphasize the fact we're really needed, we're important, we can do the job really well, even without emotion. Look at Spock.
Mm-hmm. A little predictive programming. Maybe.
Right, maybe that was put in there for us to, again, sympathize with the psychopath. Well, anyway, they were very astute observers of human nature and human behavior, and so they can copy it, outsmart it, and they can learn to push your buttons better than your parents did. They really know. I was listening the other day to an interview with a psychopath. This guy, he was a pedophile, and he had done some horrible things. But his approach, to pulling off being a psychopath. Now he's not as skilled in manipulation as probably most of the people that now we're starting to think of as psychopaths. But this guy, he would say, just offer to do things for people. can I cut your grass? Can I help you out? And if someone's in need, you can go over and befriend them. And then you say things like, you're the same as I am. We identify so much to one another. We're like soulmates, or what do you need? I could get you presents, I can get you whatever. But the bottom line is, the psychopath's going to get what he wants. He'll try to manipulate you any way he can, but if he can't manipulate you, a psychopath's not above killing, torturing. That's the kind of wiring we have. So they're manipulative because they know the species they're preying on.
Oh.
And that sounds
I guess in one way you could say that they make their whole life a study of human nature. If they have to, when they're a child, they have to go along to get along. They have to mimic what they observe. So they become astute observers from an early age, right?
Right, but it's all probably all related to, how they're thinking and what they're thinking. Because it's nothing based on gut or feel, or it's a real. Well, there's got to be a lot of.
It's an intellectual process.
It's an intellectual process. Yeah.
No heart involved.
No heart involved. Another trait of a psychopath is antisocial behavior. Because they lack empathy with people, they lack empathy with animals, and even to the point of lacking empathy to the environment.
Okay.
They just don't care about anything but themselves. John Lash, who I know that wrote Not in My Image, which is a fascinating book, has been really looking into the phenomenon of the psychopath. And he says that they're anti-life.
That their need to control is fueled actually by a phobia. That they are phobic people. And that their phobia is a phobia to life itself. They have a phobia of everything that is essential to life in its natural ability to thrive.
That's a really good area John pointed us toward. I've been listening to many interviews of psychopaths, especially killer psychopaths, and how they really enjoy killing. It's exactly like they compare it to a drug. They get a high, and I think that's part of the makeup of certain psychopaths.
Hey, listen, I hate to interrupt you while you're on a roll, but we're almost done with our hour. So we're going to have to wrap this up, and maybe we can continue a second hour into the topic of psychopaths.
I have a few more traits, and then we can get on to...
All right, hour 2 it is. But for now, we want to thank you for tuning in to the first hour of episode number 107 on the psychopath. And to see the show notes, links to the different audios that we played for you, visit our blog spot at pineconeutopia.yolasite.com. And we have the show notes there.
Yeah.
Drop us a line if you want to communicate anything to us.
Right. And thank you very much for listening to us ramble on for an hour. I hope it has affected your beliefs and that you're thinking differently about these aspects of the psychopath. We'll return in another podcast and give you more information.
All right. So until then, don't forget, be nice to each other. We'll catch you on the flip side.